Welcome back. You got Will and Iman here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, and Rovi. And Iman just brought up an interesting tweet by Vitalik.
Yeah, we're a couple days late on this one, but it's okay. The conversation's still sticking out there.
Literally.
That's how it is in Twitter, right? Something pops off. Like, the conversation usually persists for like about a week.
Yeah, and so he happens to chime in something we know a little bit about.
A little bit.
The Metaverse.
And we have a track record of anytime Vitalik says something. What was the last one? Soulbound?
Soulbound.
Yeah, he was...
he also shat on the Bitcoin.
That's true. Plan B.
Plan B's.
All the different, I want to call them maximalists, just the analysts, predictors of future, all that stuff.
Yeah.
He had like a little moment where he had like, some conflict with that camp. So here we go now. He's found a new target, dude. Vitalik, he's on a tirade these days against
against mainstream conversations.
I think so, yeah.
Because I think Metaverse is in mainstream. I mean,
dude,
as a matter of fact,
very
it was on the Today Show.
I was about to say that, yeah.
Yeah, so...
we probably should have thought of that before we started recording, just to do like the side-by-side comparison of like, remember like in the 90s? Yeah. They had a Today Show moment. Where
what is
like,
the internet?
Yeah, it's like the dude is like, what the hell is that at symbol?
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
right.
Well, that's for the internet. It's like, what's that, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
that little mark with the A and then the ring around it?
At?
See, that's what I said. Mm-hmm. Katie said she thought it was about.
Yeah. Oh.
But I'd never heard it. I'd never heard it said. I'd always seen the mark, but never heard it said.
They're having the same moments for the Metaverse, right? Like,
yeah, and they called themselves out on that too. Yeah, and they said that 30 years from now we're going to be laughing at that video.
Well, I'm already laughing, but yeah, I know exactly.
We're 30 years ahead of everybody, essentially.
Yeah, but essentially, yeah, it's spilling into the mainstream zeitgeist, right? This word,
right.
What the hell's the Metaverse, right? And even like those deeply involved, such as ourselves, are still asking that same question.
That's right. Yeah.
And Vitalik brings it up here. It's like we haven't even gotten past this point of like what the hell is the Metaverse? So
yeah, so let's read this tweet. So Vitalik says the Metaverse is going to happen. I don't think any of the existing corporate attempts to intentionally create the Metaverse are going anywhere. And so this is in response to this guy, Dean, and he says, as an ex-intense gamer, I've been struggling for quite some time to formulate how I think about the Metaverse. All the ideas on concepts make sense. Communities are moving to virtual worlds, etc. But I still do not believe it will happen in the ways VCs are currently funding. And then he goes on and says, I'd rather hang out in World of Warcraft than half of this Metaverse crap.
Yeah, see, that's not a fair side-by-side. Just because World of Warcraft is like the pinnacle of virtual experiences in like the modern gaming, ecosystem.
Yeah.
In my opinion, because I'm also a retired, what did he call himself? Intense gamer or something like that?
Intense gamer, yeah.
Yeah, I'm also an ex-intense gamer. So anytime somebody says like, it's the same thing as saying like, I'm a recovering heroin addict. It's basically the same thing. It means you played World of Warcraft at some point in your life.
Yeah. It's like all these people taking Molly and X, they don't know
like the
what real drugs are.
Yeah, dude. Well, like 10 years of your life is literally just wiped.
Yeah.
But the point being, if that's the case, like what is it that made that experience so captivating to where you could literally just surrender yourself to it?
Yeah.
Right? So with those expectations, he's coming into this Metaverse. All right, let me hear about this Metaverse. It's heavily influenced by, World of Warcraft or other types of MMORPG experiences. So this must be great.
Yeah.
Let's go log in.
Good old Zuckerberg is making his own Metaverse. Let's check this out.
Yeah, he's invested like $1 billion or something like that, like an insane amount.
Something ridiculous.
This must be the best game ever created,
right?
That's probably what most people are thinking.
That's right.
In the context of games, and like ever since we started developing the Metaverse, that's always been like our first realization. Like it's not.
Yeah, when we first got into Decentraland, the first thing we said is this isn't a game.
It's not a game.
It's a platform.
Platform with tremendous potential, and it's expanded over the years since we started. Like what that potential means,
and the potential goes beyond just gaming. Like it's economic potential. That's really what we mean.
Yeah, so that's largely what's missing from these conversations. Again, because I think it's being marketed probably from like, Facebook and friends, like the traditional Web 2 space, because those are the entities that currently have like the mass consciousness paying attention.
Yeah.
It's not what's happening in Decentraland or stuff like that. Like
no,
it's
definitely not.
It's what Mark Zuckerberg's doing, and what Microsoft is intending to do. Like that's what people are paying attention to right now.
Yeah, but we also have to think if you look at Zuckerberg and you look at Microsoft, they have a specific audience. They want to capture that audience and create a metaverse experience that is fun. And so, they're trying to appeal to their existing audience that creates more stickiness. But you and I have a different opinion on what the metaverse is. And it's really about enabling a sort of like a digital nation. The disenfranchised or anyone across the planet can jump into the metaverse and actually earn a living.
It's not so much as necessarily intended. It's not for the disenfranchised. It's likely that sector of humanity is going to be the ones that gravitate to it just because, like, based on their current day circumstances.
That's right.
It's a much more favorable option as opposed to not participating and being stuck into a disenfranchised state, right?
That's right.
Because that these economic models, these different little value flows that can be created in the metaverse doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
It does in like very micro forms, and we're seeing evidence that it does attract these people from these,
Yeah, there's pocket communities in Vietnam and the Philippines who are playing Axie Infinity, and they recently did a recording of this, of like the state of Axie in the Philippines, and people are still making an income, a full-time income, playing this game. I mean, it's like a cultural phenomenon over there in that country.
Yeah,
and so just think of what Axie did for the Philippines and what the metaverse will do for people across the internet. I mean, that's the whole. I mean, otherwise, games have been around for at least in like a quality sense for the last 30 years. But why now? Why are we talking about the metaverse now?
Yeah.
And I think it's because blockchain has gotten to the point where digital ownership has implications in a digital world. And so now we're able to enable new things that weren't possible 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's where the definition of the metaverse should lie, at least in that spectrum. But yeah, I want to continue here, and someone else comments. He's like, I think the barrier to entry being a bleeding edge bit of evolving research hardware has created a rare case of necessary condition favoring large incumbents. The idea wouldn't even be under discussion without Quest 2. Totally, I think this guy is missing the potential here. What we think, at least, the definition should be. And Vitalik says, my critique is deeper than Metaverse Wikipedia will beat Metaverse Encyclopedia Britannica. It's that we don't really know the definition of the metaverse yet. It's far too early to know what people actually want. So anything Facebook creates now will misfire.
I think that definitely puts us where we need to be as far as like us ourselves, content creators trying to educate the people. Because, if you're interested in this, keep listening to this channel. This is what largely going to be our focus. We're actively developing in the Web3 version of the metaverse, the open metaverse. So our opinions are very, I guess, unique. It comes from a lot of experience and like a lot of trial and error. So we've seen what works and what doesn't in the metaverse. So like we have to combat all these different ideals, right? People lacking experience in development have no idea what the metaverse even looks and feels like. I guess relying on what the mainstream narrative is. It's like another Second Life. It's kind of like World of Warcraft, but like it's different. I don't know. It's just they're not actually deep in the weeds. In other words.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. The point is, this is the discussion that's happening right now. This is where like the mass zeitgeist is at the moment for the metaverse. Right. It's this early, just like Vitalik is.
Another thing that reminds me sort of like around this discussion is someone asked Vitalik, like, what's the most surprising thing that's occurred on Ethereum? And I think he mentioned it was NFTs.
NFTs, yeah.
And I think that's what he's talking about when trying to define the metaverse or trying to create some metaverse that, Meta thinks is going to catch on. Yeah. And we can't really do that because I don't know if we've unlocked all the different capabilities of, what the metaverse could do with blockchain. So I think he's right. I think it's ultimately going to be a trial and error, like you're saying. And it's like, if you're thinking about like, well, what strategy should any project or any brand take in regards to the metaverse? And I would say is like, try everything.
And I guess potentially what he's saying is because we're in such an early stage, like the fact that Facebook is investing so much of their resources to kind of like, I don't know, it's almost like established, like this is what the metaverse is supposed to be, like without like a mass, like consensus and agreement, like this is what we want to experience like in the metaverse. So more than likely they're going to fail in their delivery attempt.
But you know what? It's it goes back to the saying about Ford. Is like, if you ask people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. Yeah. I don't think people know what they want in regards to the metaverse.
That's true.
We have an idea of what they want because we understand the implications of owning land, for example. Landowners may not necessarily want to speculate on their land so they can flip it later.
Yeah.
They might want to generate some income on that land.
Absolutely.
And so that is the whole premise of what we built with MetaZone, is that we enable the landowners or content owners to generate income without having to focus on flipping NFTs all the time.
Yeah.
We have an idea as to kind of like the building blocks of what the metaverse needs to be. It is difficult to kind of put a definition on it or build in one direction over another.
Or set like an order of priority, right? Like what needs to exist before others.
Right.
Yeah, so you're right. I guess it takes like a truly innovative thinkers or whatever to kind of like, take those leaps of faith that, there's not much. It's basically you have these assumptions that you make and then you have to prove them through your, efforts of development, whatever. So yeah, you're right. That's what we're doing, right? We have our assumptions where the metaverse needs to begin in order for like all the other tangent experiences to really take off. We understand people, they want to see the metaverse as like this fun ecosystem, right? Like just everything you do in there's max fun, but in order for that to be sustainable, like there has to be like an active economy underpinning the whole thing. Just to keep the lights on, the fun show running. Otherwise it's just like a pit of like money just being burnt on really nothing, no return of value.
And I want to pose this question to you. When it comes to metaverses in plural, there's going to be different experiences had in different metaverses, right? Some metaverses are going to be focused on esports.
Yeah.
Right. Other metaverses are focused on music and concerts.
Yeah, I can see that.
I wonder the implications of interoperability for these metaverses. Are will they simply not be interoperable because it's a very specific vertical for an activity in the metaverse that you go and listen to music, with others, which is cool. It's a social experience. There's potentially thousands of people, with some technologies out there like M squared.
Yeah.
But you may not necessarily want to deploy a play to earn game in those things.
Probably not.
Right. So I'm curious, maybe interoperability is not, this everyone says is important. Like it may not be. Maybe it's going to be more of like, specific silos where creators just make content for specific metaverses and that's about it. You create a metaverse where you're just like hosting music. Is it really a metaverse? Why would you own land there?
Yeah. In our definition, according to, MetaZone, in my mind, that's the verse. Like the metaverse is like an umbrella term to like all these individual experiences you're kind of outlining. Yeah. That is a verse creator in my perspective. Like if you're going to spin up a virtual environment that's dedicated to like represent whatever it is you as a creator, an architect, essentially a god, whoever's breeding and bringing all these experiences to life, you are like godlike actor within these virtual environments. So that's it. You've created a verse, but that doesn't necessarily mean like, the metaverse as an umbrella term, an umbrella experience is like, all of these things in tandem with one another, whether or not you can connect to them, individually, but still have some sort of shareability as far as like I visited this one experience. Now, whatever value I've accrued in this space can like be transitory to like another one that I go into.
Yeah.
A semblance of interoperability, right? Like again, like your identity carries over into different environments and stuff like that, different experiences. So it's like life, it's a persistent thing. As soon as you begin your identity in the virtual, it follows you. It progresses consistently until you no longer become an operator.
Yeah.
You basically die off, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, I don't know.
Or we just subject our consciousness to AI and all of a sudden we can chat forever, dude.
Yeah, but then like what happens with
your soulbound?
Yeah, well, is there a soul present if it's just AI? It's like, do the connections mean as much? I don't know, dude. Like that's a whole slew of different like existential questions that arise. But I'm almost pretty certain that's how it's going to end up.
Yeah, but you know what we're talking about is actually pretty important because a lot of these projects are going to market their metaverse as a metaverse when it really isn't.
Yeah,
and it's caused confusion.
Yeah, but then you can't say it isn't without like having like a definition.
Well, that's
place,
exactly.
So anybody's allowed to say whatever at this point.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think, man, I do think there will be a definition eventually, and I think that definition is about land ownership.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be a definition. Is more of just like an evolution of metaverses. Like, yeah, it's probably going to roll out like what you're saying. You know, the marketing efforts, through clever corporate involvement, corporate, development. They're going to create these engaging experiences in the beginning, but then you're going to have the actual like open world, open ecosystem developing in the background, where it's like truly community driven, not corporate models. And we're going to build something of incredible significance that the corporations overlooked, right? Like, because it's not conducive to their traditional business models, right? That's why it's an open ecosystem.
Yeah.
And at some point that's going to become so much more like captivating as far as like participating within that, as opposed to building like this Roblox profile that I'm just like going to different Roblox servers essentially and building that, as opposed to building a truly like, being part of a digital ecosystem, right? Like a real nation.
But you know what? To kind of help define, what we're talking about as far as definition goes, I think you said it best. Once a metaverse has what is competing against the GDP of countries, that whatever the definition of that is what the metaverse should be about.
Well, it's that digital nation, like you said. Yeah. Why the hell would I want to be part of Roblox verse when I could start my citizenship in like what is the next version of like society?
Yeah.
And you can only do that in the Web3 space, like legit. You cannot do this like with corporate heads, like dictating ownership and stuff like that.
Right.
At some point that is going to be the evolution process, going to be the Metaverse 2.0 phase. So we've got to wait around for Metaverse 1.0 to take off, which is going to, you and I are going to be like, man, this is not it.
Yeah, this is not it.
We're going to be very upset. You're going to watch us on this podcast. We're going to be very grumpy men during the Metaverse 1.0 phase, because we're like, dude, somehow the masses were like, brainwashed into thinking this is what they want.
Yeah.
Even though like
it was like it's going to be a shill factory of like pure concerts in the metaverse.
It's going to be like just this 3D dancing thing, and there's like thousands of people dancing with it. It's like, whoa, this is the metaverse. It's like, I want to be part of this. It's like, oh, here's all these merch you could buy, and like they're NFTs. Whoa.
Yeah. Dude, that's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to go look back 2 or 3 years from now. We're going to watch this video again, and we're going to repost it, and then we're going to see that this is exactly what's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? It's okay. And the reason is because the technology may not be there completely to enable a digital nation yet, because we still need DeFi in the metaverse. We need all these these components, these composable parts that blockchain has built for the metaverse.
Yeah, the identity standards.
All these are significantly important. And for a stretch, it's just going to be parties in the metaverse.
Yeah, parties and like just Doge orgies and stuff like that. Like the weirdest and craziest shit you can imagine. But people are going to pile in, like, because they think this is what's hot at the moment, and it is going to be what's hot at the moment. Just like
it is.
Dogecoin and what's the other dog? Shiba Coin was hot for a moment. Right?
That's right.
And now we're looking back like, damn, that was stupid, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All those people got burnt.
That's right.
So I mean, a lot of people are going to get burnt again.
Yeah, I 100%. This is exactly what's going to happen.
So we're not building that, unfortunately. We're not us, founders. We're not looking to contribute to, like, I guess, Metaverse 1.0 mania.
Yeah,
right?
parties.
Let's declare that now.
Digital parties.
That's never been like our alignment.
Not.
We've never been aligned with that vision of the metaverse. It is while that's happening, we're going to be contributing and building a community who's interested in developing real standards for the open metaverse that's going to like transcend humanity into the next stage, right?
Yes.
Like, that's what we're working for. So we're going to have to exercise a lot of patience, a lot of I don't know, like composure, just to like not get too agitated at the just we need to be self-aware. It's like, okay, our time will come, lads.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you gotta let people mature a little bit and let them go through the stages.
Yeah, have their digital parties.
Yeah.
And then we'll be building the digital nation, and at least the foundational pieces
for the community to establish themselves as the digital nation. Yeah, that's where we're headed.
So stay tuned to the channel. We're going to be talking about the metaverse pretty consistently here. Of course, we're going to be talking about the wider crypto space as well. We do have a live call every single Mondays and Thursdays at 10 p.m. UTC to go over MetaZone and to go over our Rovi project. And let us know what you think about what Vitalik thinks of the metaverse.
Is he spot on?
Is he spot on, or do you agree agree with our predictions that it's just going to be digital parties for 2 to 3 years until we start competing with like countries with like GDPs and things like that. So let us know in the comments below. Follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner, at MetaZone, and at Rovi AI, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace out.